The practice of dowry in India. What is a dowry? Wikipedia defines dowry as a transfer of parental property at the marriage of a daughter. This can be in the form of cash, valuable metals, or other expensive gifts like a piece of land, a car, etc. This transfer is often received by the groom or the groom's family depending on the local traditions. Dowry in its different flavors is practiced in quite a few countries. On a parallel thought, there is also the reverse practice called bride price or bride wealth practiced in some cultures, which involves transfer of wealth from the groom's family to the bride's family. So when did it start? In world history, the practice of dowry has been reported as early as the Babylonia, the Greek Empire, and the Roman Empire thereafter. As the practice has a different cultural context in different regions, in this video we can try to get a perspective of the dowry system in the context of India. Ancient records as early as 300 BC indicate that there was no practice of dowry in India. Also, records from the 11th century indicate that there was no practice of dowry in India at that time. So dowry doesn't seem to have been a social phenomenon until medieval or early modern periods. The situation changed with the emergence of British colonial rule. In 1793, Lord Cornwallis started the permanent settlement of Bengal to ease tax collection and administration. This enabled private ownership of land, which was unknown in India till then. It was this system which also created the system of zamindars or landlords in India. The zamindar or the landlord now owned the land and it was hereditary. That is, the children of the landlords now became the inheritors of the land. Accompanying this, the British imposed a rule which prohibited the women from owning any property at all. And this was what created the menace of dowry system in India. The rule that women cannot own property meant that all the wealth that a woman got from her parents would be now owned by her husband instead. Once this system of husband owning the wealth of his wife was created, the husband or his family, fueled by greed or by prestige, started demanding for an amount of dowry that they see as appropriate given their socio-economic status and other factors. Gifts became demands and what was voluntary became an obligation. This gave birth to the modern day practice of dowry. How did it grow to be a social evil? Dowry system had two main effects. First, the pressure of having to satisfy the greed of the groom's family at the time of the daughter's marriage and the inability to pass on the property to the daughters made it a challenge for parents to raise female children. This increased the practice of female infanticide, which is the killing of female infants soon after their birth. Over time, female infanticide and female feticide began to impact the gender ratio in the country. In fact, in contemporary India, the gender ratio is so skewed that there are 60 million more men than women. To put it in perspective, the amount of men exceed women by a number that is nearly the entire population of France. Second, the idea of marriage was tainted from being about social harmony and bonding to be also about a business. This business-like mindset in the dowry system created an institution of greed that oppressed and victimized women. But to be fair, not all grooms put pressure on the bride's family. So in some cases, the practice of dowry in fact helped the bride to get an indirect inheritance, compensating for the law that did not support female inheritance or ownership at that time. But when placed as a demand, it clearly became a social evil. So what is the situation today? Although the practice of dowry is strictly illegal, it has become a socially accepted tradition. It is practiced among people from all major religions in the country and among all economic classes. While some people are relaxed about it, others tend to take it too seriously. Even in moderate forms of the practice, this puts immense pressure both on the daughter and her parents. In extreme forms, it leads to domestic violence against women, suicides, etc. So what have we done about it? Several laws had been passed since Indian independence to prohibit the practices of dowry. But at the root cause of the problem was the inheritance laws. After Indian independence in 1947, the Hindu Succession Act was passed in 1956, giving the right to women to inherit ancestral property. but it didn't bring objective equality between men and women in terms of inheritance. For example, married daughters had no residential rights in the ancestral home. Adding to that, the awareness of the law was very low due to low literacy levels in the country, which was just at 12% in 1947. As recently as 2005, the Hindu Succession Act was further amended in a way that daughters were allowed equal receipt of property as with sons. And improved literacy rates, which is at 74% as of 2011, has further helped to spread awareness. However, it is important to note that the law applies only to people who are Hindus, Buddhists, Jains or Sikhs by religion. So the women who are a Muslim, a Christian, a Parsi or a Jew by religion don't enjoy the same rights. Anyway, despite all these reforms, in 2013, 8,000 dowry-related deaths were reported in India. That is one woman dying every 60 minutes because of a dowry-related reason. In addition, there were reports of numerous dowry-related incidents of torture and domestic violence against women. This is where we have an opportunity to extend a helping hand to improve the society. So what can we still do about it? First, we can spread awareness. Awareness about inheritance rights of women in contemporary India, which makes it unnecessary to practice dowry, and awareness about the evils that practices like dowry can cause. Second, we can lead by example. We can change the traditional practices by choosing to stay away from traditions that give rise to social evils. Third, we should push for uniform civil code where the laws applies to people of all religions equally. Thank you for watching. Let us build a better society together.